All right, so it's about 5 after at this point, so I think we're gonna go ahead and get rolling here. So just to get us started, my name is Joe Farmer. I am a data analyst and program manager in the Office of Research here at BU. And part of my role is, running these webinars, running trainings on various data resources that you have access to that the university maintains. So just to start off, a couple of slides on some notes about the webinar and kind of a table of contents, if you will, to what we're going to accomplish today. As I said right when we opened up, and as a few more people have joined, I'll just kind of repeat it one more time. Please make sure you stay muted. We don't want to have to deal with tons and tons of voices and background sounds that kind of impact the quality of the recording and people's ability to understand. You're welcome to keep your camera on. You're also welcome to turn your camera off. Everybody gets a little Zoom fatigue sometimes, and turning the camera off so you can eat lunch, so you can do whatever you need to do is just fine here. Totally up to you. If you do have questions as we go, please submit those through the chat function. I will do my absolute best to answer them in real time. I understand that sometimes it just makes more sense to answer them on the slide or during the topic in which they're being asked. But if there's something I can't answer in real time, I will catch up. We're going to take a break about halfway through just to let people run to the bathroom or step away from the computer for a second. I'll catch up on questions at that point. And at the very end of the webinar, there will be Q&A time. There's also a chance that if you ask me something that's very, very specific to your use case for one of these tools, or something that involves a very long, complex, technical sort of answer, that I may just ask you to email me so I can answer it just in a more kind of personal one-on-one setting as opposed to in the webinar for everybody. My email address is there, jpfarmer@bu.edu. Please, feel free to email me if you have questions or if there's just anything I can support with these tools. Like I said, it's part of my job. I'm happy to do it. Also, no worries about taking frantic notes. We will email out a copy of the slides and a link to a recording of the webinar. Typically, it takes us about a week or so to get that out. So, unfortunately, I can't promise it to you by the end of the day or tomorrow morning or something. Just takes us a second to get it up on the research support website. If there are major technical issues, we don't anticipate that happening, but stranger things have happened in the world. Just keep an eye on the email that you used to register for the webinar. That's how we will send out any guidance or instructions or a new link or something if there is a major technical issue like the webinar goes down. Finally, in this webinar, we are assuming there are some basic working knowledge of the various data tools, specifically SciVal and Dimensions. The Office of Research runs webinars on those. We've run 2 SciVal training webinars and a Dimension training webinar this semester, excuse me. Last week was one of the SciVal webinars. Maybe some of you attended that. So we won't be covering the very basics of how to use those platforms. That's kind of beyond the scope of what we're trying to accomplish today. There are links at the end of the PowerPoint, which I said, you will get within a week or so, that have links to both the platforms themselves to register an account. They're open to all BU faculty, staff, and students. And there will also be links at the end of the PowerPoint to recordings of the training webinars that I run on those platforms. So if you are new to those platforms, that's fine, stick around. You can catch up and kind of build your usage as we go. And again, something I can support you on if needed. So in today's webinar, we're going to look at 5 tools that can be used to find internal collaborators here at BU, specifically SciVal, BU Experts, Dimensions, BU Profiles, and a Centers and Institutes website. SciVal and Dimensions will take up the bulk of the time because they're the most kind of in-depth tools. BU Experts, Profiles, and the Centers and Institutes site are much more just simple web resources on BU's own websites that can be there to kind of as a launching point or one way to find expertise. We are focusing on internal collaboration today. So while a lot of these tools, specifically SciVal and Dimensions, could be used to identify internal and external expertise, the lens through which I'm talking about them today is going to focus on internal collaboration. So just kind of keep that in mind, that yes, you can use them to do this targeting another institution or something, but I'm not explicitly going to be given those instructions. If you're interested in using them in that way and something is unclear as I'm going today, please email me separately. I'm not going to take questions on external collaboration in today's webinar. So we're going to start off with SciVal. This is one of my favorite tools that we have access to. Basically, SciVal, in its full glory, one of our best and most well-maintained bibliometric resources, the details of which can be found in the SciVal webinar training and in documentation on the SciVal site. The publications make up the fundamental entities, but because publications have authors, you can use SciVal to get author-level information. There's basically two ways you can go about this, kind of two broad strokes that can be used. SciVal has predetermined topics and topic clusters. The nitty-gritty of those is, again, in the SciVal webinar and how it makes those, but basically they're networks of publications that cite each other very heavily, that get linked together in topics, and then topics that cluster together thematically and citation-wise get linked in topic clusters. Just a reminder and a heads up for those that have seen it or not seen it, that topics and topic clusters are algorithmically named. They're just a series of keywords that create the name. So the names can be a bit clunky off the tongue, if you will, but they're pre-made, they're relatively straightforward and fast to use, and it's fairly simple to identify authors that have a lot of work in a given topic cluster. They may get a little fuzzy on the edges. If you're looking at a topic, it may not capture every single thing you think would go in that topic. There might be a very similar, different topic, and the actual assignment of papers can get kind of fuzzy around the edges. But if you're looking for someone working in a certain area, they're a great way to quickly get some information there. The second thing you can do in SciVal are custom searches, where you use a string of keywords and a variety of filters like institutional affiliation of an author on a paper, the journal, the country, things like that, to create your own publication list. So if you have a specific discipline or a specific set of keywords, you're looking at a specific kind of cancer or a very specific type of computer science problem or physics problem, whatever the case may be, you can build your own publication set and then analyze who the authors are and who the productive researchers in that area are to find expertise. So we'll start by talking about topics and topic clusters. For those of you familiar with SciVal, you will recognize the little banner that appears on the left side of your screen that I have. The little circle with the kind of filled in dot in it is your topic and topic cluster tab. That's the best place to go here. What you're going to do is just add a new one to your list, and I will show you all this on the website in just a moment. To search whatever word you're looking for. Maybe it's quarks, neutrinos, maybe it's lung cancer, maybe it's autism spectrum disorders. Whatever you're looking for, just start typing in one or two of the keywords, and SciVal will automatically populate with applicable topic clusters. So if you type in neutrino, it will find any topic cluster or topic that has neutrino in the name and just start filling in the list. Then you can look at the list, find one you like, and click on it to start looking at the information contained within that topic or topic cluster. They're very fast, they're very convenient, they're pre-generated, so there's no processing issues where you have to wait for something to calculate or wait for something on the SciVal server to happen. You can just look at them right away. The downside is they can be a little inflexible. There's that fuzziness of like, does it catch everything you want it to catch? And we can't change these. These are made algorithmically on SciVal's end. It is their server, their algorithm, their artificial intelligence and machine learning that makes these. We have no ability to influence them. So if they don't quite capture what you're after, the custom search road is going to be the better one for you. In that topic cluster, once you've picked a topic or topic cluster, the summary tab is going to give you the high-level BU data. The author tab is where we're going to want to look specifically to find collaborators. So if you're looking for a specific discipline, a topic, and you're like, I need to find someone to collaborate on this physics project with who studies neutrinos and works on neutrino interactions, there you go. You're going to look at that author list and you're going to be able to see who is active in that area at BU. And if you want, you're going to be able to drill down to the level of the publications and see if they're active in the specific area you need. Maybe the most prolific author doesn't quite meet what you need, but somebody else on that list will. Like I said, I'm going to show you all this in just a minute. I am just going to kind of talk about the tool first in both ways, and then we'll look at both ways. Custom searches are the other way to kind of get this info out of SciVal. This lets you use the keywords. It's a little slower, takes a little more upfront effort on your part. But once you've made a nice custom search for what you're after, it can be a very, very wonderful source of data that meets exactly what your needs are. Your keyword options have your standard all, any, and none kind of filters. You can say you have to include this word and this word, or this word. You can make it a phrase. You can make it excluding words, all kinds of stuff. The one thing that I would caution when using custom searches is be very, very careful using or if it has the any of these words function, because that's going to get you enormous numbers of papers very, very, very quickly. And then you'll have to do a lot more filtering and kind of sifting through things that may not fit. So just kind of keep in mind that using that can get you a very large number of hits. If you use too many kind of and functions, the all option, you can also end up getting a very, very small number of hits very quickly, which can be what you're after, but just as a caution. Some reminders for those of you that have seen the SciVal webinars, and something that you'll encounter if you haven't and go down this road. There are limits on the size of custom searches. You cannot search for a string of keywords and filters that will return more than 100,000 results. If you have a greater number than 100,000, SciVal will just say, nope, can't do it. You have to filter this down. Typically, that's not a problem if you select Boston University as a filter, because if you have any kind of disciplinary keyword and they must include BU on the publication, there aren't going to be 100,000 results. It's just mathematically not something you're going to see. But keep that in mind. Anything with more than 5,000 hits, which is easy to do with BU, will require processing time. SciVal won't let you look at that instantly. It just gets added to a processing queue on their server. It takes anywhere from a couple hours to a day or two to get that done. The important thing to remember there is there's no processing done after about noon on Friday until the following Monday. So if you need something right away on Friday afternoon, you might need to go to that topic or topic cluster. They are, as their kind of pro and con section said, a little faster and more convenient that way. So this is just more of a visual to provide people watching the recording some clues, and people that are looking at these slides after the fact. I'm actually going to show you this stuff in the platform itself. So let's hop over there. SciVal is first up for us. So hopefully you're seeing SciVal on my screen. This is kind of the landing page you're going to get after you sign in, once you've made an account and all that, which again, very simple to do for those of you that might be following along without having done that yet. The topic and topic cluster is not apparent here. If you click on this overview tab first, this is the best place to start in SciVal. And then here we go on the left side of the screen, that circle with a little dot in it. And you can start to see topic clusters. Mine is populated with a variety of things that I have pulled up in the last few years here at BU for any number of reasons, whether they be looking at publications, providing data to someone on campus that requested it, whatever. Yours will be blank at first. What you're going to want to do to populate that is click where it says topic and clusters. And this is where, again, just start typing in a keyword. We type in Quark and let it think for a second. Now we're getting that populated list of topics and topic clusters. The darker logo here with TC, those are your topic clusters. The lighter logo with the single dot and T down here are your topics. Remember, a topic cluster is going to be bigger because it is a collection of topics. Let's click on this one that has the kind of, like I said, strange algorithmic names. It's called decay, quarks, neutrinos. Those are just kind of three keywords that combine to make that topic cluster fairly unique among others. So if we just click on that, it adds the entry, and now it has taken me to that topic cluster. I'm going to minimize this menu here just to save some screen space on my laptop. But now we have the view here, and you'll notice it says at Boston University here. So right off the bat, I'm already just looking at publications at BU. You can't use the subject area filter here. You can still use the date filter. So I'm looking at basically 2018 to current. That's the indication of that little caret, that it's the completed year 2021, in addition to the first couple of months of 22. They haven't added 2022 yet as a year slider because we're still very early in the year. But right off the bat, you can see some various kind of metrics, citations per publication, and field weighted, that just give you an idea of what BU's publications look like in this discipline, or topic cluster in this case. We have scholarly output. That's the number of publications it's catching. So in the past 3 years-ish, there have been about 860 publications with at least one author from BU. Should be noted that these aren't first author, last author at BU, or like primary institution of BU, but that any of the authors, a single author on the paper, even if it's 1 out of 100, is affiliated with BU. It's getting caught here. So I mentioned authors. We can click on this tab. And this is right off the bat, the top 100 authors at BU. Keep in mind on these author lists, because of the way SciVal is structured, there's no differentiating between undergraduates, grad students, research faculty, tenure track faculty, any of it. Just anybody associated with BU. Oh my goodness, I've accidentally done something. There we go. Hopefully we're still on SciVal. So we can see person, we can see output, we can get some metrics on it. And if you want to see the publications themselves, let's look at Dr. Sulak here. We can just click on the number, and it's going to bring up a list of things that he has an author credit on that fit this topic cluster. So you can start to look through here and see, okay, is this kind of work what you're looking to collaborate with? You know, is this person meeting the needs of your collaboration? You can hit the X and come out of here. Maybe that didn't fit. You know, let's look at Professor Butler. Again, click on that number, and we can look at some of the same publications, some different publications. and start to find expertise that way. And you can do this for any kind of discipline. This is, I picked a kind of hard particle physics look here. There are topics in humanities, in social sciences, in any of the kind of STEM disciplines, anything you need, they have here. So, feel free to poke around there. You can also look globally in North America. We're not going to focus on that, like I said, because we're focusing on internal collaborators here, but the options are there. You can also see the H-index of the faculty member, and you can set different metrics. If you're interested in certain, publication metrics, you can choose what you see here for the publications in question, if that matters for your search. So that's one option. The second option to find internal expertise is to create a custom search and use it to make like a publication set. So again, publication sets, we're looking at this kind of paper tab here. You can do this as a publication set, or you can do this as a research area. Either option is going to kind of end up in the same place. In either case, hit this Add New button and define new. It would be either define a new research area or define a new publication set. And this is where you can use those various filters I talked about. All of these words, any of these words, none of these words. So let's use Quark again, and then hit search once you've put in any of the words you need. So right off the bat, we've got about 16,000 publications that come up in the past 5 years. You don't have to limit it to the past 5 years. I'm going to keep that on. Since we're looking for internal collaboration, we're going to look at institutions here, and we want to find Boston University because we want to see internal faculty. Well, we can scroll down this list endlessly, or we can just sort alphabetically and then find Boston University. Click there. Limit to is going to make it so only that 548 set publications show up. Next step, you can give it a name, you can tag it, describe it, just to keep yourself organized. Save and finish. And once again, now I have to go back to it for some reason. Quarks, there we go. Now, as it kind of loads some metrics for me here, you can get a little bit of a different look at the discipline, the topic, whichever you want to call it. Oh boy, it's taking its time thinking. So we'll just kind of wait for that wheel to spin a little bit. Let's see if the summary will load a little faster for me. Nope, the summary is not loading any faster. Of course, it waits till we're live on a recording to be nice and slow. There it goes. So right off the bat, we can see that we have a handful of publications in this research area. Again, it gives disciplinary kind of subject matter, of this publication, bibliometric breakdowns, what is our impact, citations, those kind of things. You can see this graph is not going to work for this particular set of data because we have BU as a filter. So the BU papers are the only papers in the set. So this look at us compared to like global productivity or US productivity isn't going to be meaningful. Because we're looking to find internal experts here, we're again going to go to this authors tab, and once again, it's top 100 authors at BU. You can see the output numbers are a little different here because we're not looking at a topic cluster of quarks and neutrinos and other things. We're just looking at quarks in our custom search. But some of the same names, there's Professor Sulak, I'm sure there's Professor Butler that we kind of pulled up their lists for. Once again, we can find these internal experts. These are authors that SciVal has flagged as BU researchers. that we can see, okay, these are people that we can look at as internal collaborators. Maybe Dr. Sulak has the publications in the area you're looking to collaborate with. Now you have found someone you can reach out to build that connection and collaborate on a research project. Just a couple reminders. SciVal is built from the publication as the base unit, so there isn't any inherent author information contained beyond what is listed on the author section of a paper. So that means that in most cases, the rank, tenure track, research associate, grad student, undergrad, that kind of information is not included. So maybe you see some names on here and go, I don't think that's a faculty member. That's probably correct. It's probably somebody's graduate student, probably an undergrad. Those names, especially on searches that have smaller counts here for output, can still show up and can be a little tricky to parse sometimes. The other thing to keep in mind is that SciVal can only update as fast as publications come out, and they have updated information. So you will on occasion see faculty members that are no longer at an institution still affiliated because publications with their new affiliation haven't come out yet. Or someone who's retired may still show up on here because, well, we're looking at 3 years worth of work. Someone who published in 2018, 19, 20, and then retired is still going to show up. But we can find expertise that way. So that's a brief overview of kind of 2 good ways to find experts in a topic or discipline in SciVal. Remember, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. I will keep moving until we hit our first break, unless questions start to pop up, though. So let's hop back to the PowerPoint. The next tool we'll talk about before we take our break is BU Experts. We're kind of going to alternate bigger tool, smaller tool, just to kind of make things balanced on the sides of the break. BU Experts is something that is managed by BU Public Relations, actually. And it's designed to be something that outside people, specifically the media, can use to find BU expertise in certain areas. So if somebody from the Boston Globe or from some reporting agency is looking for an expert to reach out to regarding a certain current event or scientific discovery or happening in the world, whatever the case may be, they can use this database to find that person. Now, just because that's what it's designed for doesn't mean it doesn't have alternate purposes. This is actually a very simple way to find expertise. At the moment, it's not in any way populated by all faculty. It has a several hundred, I want to say 600 or 700 people in it currently, which is a fair number, but certainly not all of the faculty at the university by any stretch. If you want to be added to it, there is a form linked here. Again, you'll get these PowerPoints within the next week or so you can click on that form and fill it out. And it will add a profile for you on this site. Keep in mind, if you do that, it is publicly accessible. This is not an internal tool. SciVal is private. You have to be affiliated with an institution that is paying for it or have your own paid subscription to have access to it. BU Experts is on a public-facing website. So if you do decide to put yourself on this, it does come with that kind of caveat that you might get contacted. But in terms of finding internal collaborators, you'll see a landing page that looks something like this, has tags that are discussed between PR and the faculty member in question to put on there, in addition to some basic contact information and a link to their faculty profile. Once again, just to kind of show you what it looks like, we'll scoot back over to my web browser. BU Experts is over here. So you'll start when you land on the link. You can also just Google BU Experts. BU Public Relations, We Are Experts will pop up nice and big there. If you scroll down, you can see this is where we get to where that screenshot was. 669 people are in here currently. I don't know how it picks who's on the first page. It's a mystery to me. You can see these tags. So for Professor Salinger, business and finance, antitrust law, economics, and television. You can see, faculty affiliation and professorships that they hold, things of that nature. Just in my own personal kind of perusing of this, some of these tags seem a lot more sensible than others. Some of them are very, very, very broad, and thus it can be a little hard to parse what they actually mean. But if you need, BU experts in a certain field, like say we're looking for someone, we need an economics collaborator, whatever you're working on, you're like, I need someone who does work in economics to collaborate with me on this project, on this paper, whatever. We can put in economics, and now you can see we've narrowed it down to 25 results, and you can start looking through and say, okay, who's on here and what kind of affiliations do they have within BU, and what areas of expertise do they have kind of tagged? So we see Professor Salinger is still there, but we can start to see, okay, here we go, more people in different areas. So if you were looking at economics and antitrust, maybe your first result here is good. But if it was economics in Europe, a European policy related question, well, Professor Schmidt looks like perhaps a good expert in that area to reach out to. And you can keep looking, you can put in more than one keyword and just see, who do you find here? What do you have? And one nice thing about this over something like SciVal is that once you find somebody on this list, their contact information is right there. You don't have to then hunt for their email and hope you can track it down. If Professor Freeman is the expert you think you need for your research that you want to collaborate with, there's the email, there's a phone number, ready, set, go. You have that contact information to build that research bridge right away. So that's kind of a very simple tool. You can just bookmark the link. Again, it's in the PowerPoint that you'll get sent, and very quickly add more people to your kind of ability to connect with. And again, if you want to be in there, if you're a faculty member, I know we had a wide variety of people register for this webinar. If you're a graduate student, postdoctoral scholar, staff member, you cannot be in here. This is faculty only. So if you are BU faculty and would like to be in here, you're welcome to fill out that form I linked. If you're not faculty, you are not allowed to be on this database as far as my knowledge goes. All right, so back to our PowerPoint real quick. We're going to take a 5-minute break right now, just again, so people can get up and run to the restroom if they need to, ask any questions. We haven't seen any questions come in so far, but if there's anything you're wondering about on the 2 tools we've covered, please throw it in the chat. I will answer it as best I can. For those of you that would like to kind of do a practice exercise to see if you're kind of keeping up with what I'm saying, there's a little exercise in SciVal for you. Who are the top 3 authors at BU in the SciVal topic cluster named Pervasive Child Development Disorders, Autistic Disorder, Child? Again, one of those kind of odd strings, but there's the name of it in SciVal. So if you want to see if you can do what I did and you have a SciVal account already registered, go for it. And I will briefly walk through how to get that answer after our break. The link for the BU Experts site, let me just post it in the chat real quick. I need to get it from my web browser first. There is that link. And remember, again, they will be provided in the PowerPoint that you also see once I email that out in a few days' time. And just one caution, I don't know why, when I was setting up for the webinar, the BU Experts site was being very, very sluggish to load. Usually it's very snappy. So if you do look at it right now and it's being slow, I don't know why, but it's usually very snappy. Another question just came in. Will today's recording be sent to us? Yes. For the people that have joined after we got started, there will be a link sent out in a few days' time, about a week at most, hopefully, that contains a link to the recording of the webinar and a link to the PowerPoint slides. So there's no need to frantically take notes or anything. It does take us a couple of days because we need to get the recording cleaned up and posted on the research website before we can send out the link. So, I unfortunately can't promise it, today or tomorrow, but sometime by the middle to end of next week, you should have received an email with the link in it. So 2 more questions popped in here. One kind of more mechanical, kind of operational about the webinar itself. This is the first time we've offered this webinar. So we haven't yet determined how often exactly we will offer it. At least once a year, I would suspect, potentially once a semester. Typically, when we're offering a new webinar for the first time, like today, we look at the number of people that registered, how many people end up attending, if there's follow-up from people who weren't able to attend, et cetera, before we make a final determination on that. So I would say at least annually, if not every semester on that. You're also welcome to share the link to the recording with colleagues if there's someone you think in particular could benefit. Next question, I'm wondering if all BU faculty members are on SciVal. The vast majority should be. SciVal captures a very, very, very robust and strong section of publications, especially for the caliber of faculty at an institution like BU. And anybody whose faculty affiliation is on their publication somehow will get added to faculty at BU or to SciVal. I can't promise that because I obviously don't control their database and I don't control the publishing habits of BU faculty. But anybody who's published under their own name with BUs as their affiliation should be in SciVal. If somebody's missing, it's usually because they haven't published recently or within the time window you're looking at, or there is some weirdness with affiliations where a faculty member's institutional link updates with their most recent publication. So if somebody is affiliated with both Boston University, but also a private think tank, a private research institute of some kind, their affiliation can sometimes flip-flop as they publish. So like the example I'm thinking of, say you have a faculty member at MIT who's also a member of the Broad Institute, they would flip-flop in their affiliation depending on where they published the most recent paper. It might show up as MIT some days, it might show up as Broad other days. So just kind of keep in mind that there is some weirdness there. If you think someone is missing consequentially, you're looking for someone specifically and they're not there, please reach out to me and I will see if I can help you either A, find them, or B, figure out why they're not in there. Okay, so let's move on and kind of keep going. We've hit about 7 minutes with questions and things. Just very briefly to look at that SciVal question was, who are the most prolific authors in that autism, the key phrase regarding autism spectrum disorders that I provided. So that's a topic and topic cluster. So that's going to be under this tab. Have I defined it already? I have. It was this one: pervasive child development disorders, autistic disorder, child. So either define that by searching. In my case, I'm just going to click on it. I'm already in authors, and right off the bat, here's our author list for Boston University. So fairly simple once you've already found that topic cluster to get to authors here and look at our most frequent publishers in that topic cluster. So a question came in from an administrator: is there a way to collect citations from a set of faculty? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by collecting citations. This might be a good one to follow up with me individually. There are ways you can see the citations. In terms of collecting them, it would depend on what you're trying to collect and use it for. Could the search be made public? There's no way to make anything in the SciVal interface public. You can either download Excel files or create PDF reports that you could then share. There's nothing considered to be super sensitive data in SciVal, but again, if you have specific questions on like, again, how you would make something public, you're welcome to reach out to me individually. All right, so back to the PowerPoint as we keep moving into our next big tool, which is going to be Dimensions. Dimensions is in some ways a conceptually similar database to SciVal. It's a bibliometric database that contains lots and lots of publications, lots and lots of information. It has a little bit different structure and scope than SciVal. Things are still based on publications, but it's a bigger database, but also less depth, if you will. Dimensions contains more item types in addition to a variety of publication types. It also contains policy documents, data sets, clinical trial information, things of that nature that aren't as much in SciVal. It also goes back much, much further. You can find original publication information for things that were published in the 1600s in Dimensions. So that increases the item count in the database to a much higher level than SciVal. But if you're looking at the last 30 years, SciVal has better depth. So it's a little bit of a question of what you're after in terms of, which argument you make for which is the better database. They're both very useful. And they're both very good for modern papers. Don't let me bash Dimensions here too much. Dimensions, though, has some other functions that SciVal doesn't that make it very useful in identifying expertise. The big thing that Dimensions requires of you is learning how to search effectively. The search menu can be pretty painful. We talk about this a lot in the Dimensions webinar. So again, we're going to kind of gloss over it here, but feel free to look at that recording that's linked at the end of the PowerPoint when you receive those slides in the next few days for a little more help on how to structure your searches there. Since we're looking for internal collaborators, we're going to use Boston University as a search. So again, we're limiting this to results that include at least one author from BU. And then you can click on the tab or the search bar. This is one thing people don't necessarily realize. You can, in addition to selecting from their pre-made filters, you can just click and search for keywords. So this is, again, where you can add that sort of custom set of keywords or discipline that you're looking for collaborators within. To use our Quark example, add Boston University as the organization, put in the keyword quarks, and bang, you're going to get that list of publications with at least one BU author and that have that keyword quarks. The other way you can kind of limit disciplines here, again, put that BU in as the organization. I'll show you in a moment on the website. There's a discipline and topic filter. There's a variety of ways you can filter here, different classifications and different disciplinary like hierarchies, if you will. But again, BU is your organization. Pick whichever one suits you the best for your filters, and you'll see that list of publications that meet those search criteria. These are the tabs you'll see on the left-hand side of the dimensions interface. I'll show that again in a moment. Research categories is where you're going to find those disciplinary and topic slicers. Fields of research, health categories, cancer types. You can filter by sustainable development goals. If you're into the SDGs, get after it. Sustainable development goals for those of you in those disciplines of research. There is something for everybody in here. Pick your filters, run your search. The other thing, before we dive into dimensions and I start showing you here, that you can do, and this is something very cool that that SciVal doesn't give us the ability to do, is in dimensions you can look at citation networks. So in addition to just SciVal can just show you citations, like, oh, cool, here's the list of citations. What dimensions can let you do is, instead of just showing you the list, you can then look at the publication set that has either been cited by or has cited a specific item. So you can, instead of starting from a topic or from an author, you can start from a paper or some publication and build out a publication or citation network and look for expertise in that way. And say, okay, we have this paper that perhaps links to a topic that you're working on and would like some collaboration on, or one person can't collaborate, and so you're looking for someone, okay, who's similar to this researcher, who's got a similar paper to this, and one way to find that is by looking at a citation network. So you can pick any publication you want to start with. You're going to have the best results here with things that have a lot of citations. If it's brand new and has been cited once, the citation network is not very large yet, so give it time. But things with more citations are just your better bet here. And then you'll scroll down that window to find the publication citations section and hit show all. And that's going to take you back to a search result window that gives you all of the citations. And once you have that window, you can start applying all of the same filters that you could to an original custom search. So you can throw Boston University back on there and start saying, okay, this is the citation network for this paper. Now let's narrow it down to, of that citation network, what has a BU author? And then you can find that collaborator at BU. So let's go ahead and just jump into dimensions and take a look. Dimensions. So just one disclaimer. I am logged into my personal dimensions account right now. It may look a little different than what yours does if you have one or you set one up. I have a super administrator privilege because I'm the contact point between the dimensions group and BU. So all of the salient functions I have made sure are, available on all of our users for BU. But just if you see something and you're like, wait, I don't recognize that, it's probably because I have a slightly fancier access portal that we unfortunately can't give other people access to. But step one, we're looking at everything here. Let's add BU. That's going to be research organization. This is just listed by number of publications. We don't need to scroll, just hit more and start searching Boston and it will auto-populate. We have Boston University right there, limit 2. So now we have a little bit of an overview of BU's information in this database and the list of, now we've got it down to about 125,000 publications. Here is where we can start doing those discipline filters. You can either click up here to add your keywords. I'm getting that lovely spinning wheel today, just every website I go to. There we go. Over here, we can go to that research category tab. Let's look at a sustainable development goal. I want more. Do we have number 17? Number 17 is my favorite, partnerships for the goals, but they don't seem to have it flagged for us. Let's look at quality education. Let's do that. Limit 2. And so now we're looking at a list of 870 publications about that somehow are linked with one of the SDGs. And so you can start looking at the author lists. You can start looking at these publications. You can sort, it starts by relevance, but you can sort by date. You can sort by how many times they've been cited and so on. If you're looking for authors, remember this can be a little bit convoluted sometimes because there are non-BU authors on these papers. But if we look at researcher, if we click on this little drop down, this is going to be the number, the people that have the most publications in this set. So interesting here, we're seeing our top person is actually not necessarily at BU. Seems like they have a lot of collaboration with BU, but second here, Boston University. So if you're looking at collaborating on work and you need someone to collaborate with on a project that involves the quality education sustainable development goal, perhaps, we have found here a set of a couple of faculty that would be a great place for you to start finding some internal collaboration. If you want to remove a search term, just click the X. Let's use our same example from SciVal here, just to put a keyword in. Let's say quarks again. Help if I hit the R. And so once again, we have now filtered it down. Much higher number of publications here, but remember, dimensions does not have the date limitations that we were looking at in SciVal. So there's a much wider time frame being looked at here, hence the greater number of results. Again, you can then add further slicers, more discipline kind of research category filters. You can add more keywords, or you can just go straight to researcher here and start to kind of see, okay, we've got this issue of, again, a lot of other institutions that are heavily represented on these papers. When that happens, typically that means you're getting a very large subset and you're going to need to add more filtering. You can also search for a specific author. This is kind of not necessarily the easiest thing to do if you are looking for a collaborator, because you're not necessarily going to know who you're looking for yet. But if you have someone in mind, we knew Professor Sulak had some publications on this area from SciVal. Maybe you've already got an idea, hey, Professor Sulak might be the guy here. You can search for the name here and see if they come up. And there we go. Professor Sulak, we can limit to. And interesting, there we go, 146 publications. So again, we've gotten to a point where we can look at a more detailed view of what has this particular researcher done in things that meet our other filters, and kind of check if that matches the disciplinary needs that you're looking for collaboration, if it's in the areas you need to find expertise. So finally, the other way we can do this is by that publication kind of citation network. So I'm going to sort by citations here, because something with more citations is going to show us a little better. A little better network. Oh, 18,000. That's a bit more than I was after. Let's actually narrow this to a person first, so we don't overwhelm with results here. Let's researcher. Let's use Professor Butler again. And so here we go, 153 citations. That's a nice number. So if we click on this result, this publication, it brings up the data that Dimensions stores about the publication. All kinds of cool stuff here. Please watch the Dimensions webinar. Lots of cool stuff to be found here. But we can scroll down and see the publication references and the publication citations. Publication references, these are the things that are cited by the paper. Publication citations are the things that have cited the paper. So we're interested in this subset. If we hit show all, like I said before, it's going to take us back to this search window. So now we have the 153 papers that have cited the one we were looking at. We've got that citation network we're building. Well, to find who at BU has cited this paper, research organization, BU does not show up in the top hits here, so hopefully hopefully it shows up here. It did. So we've now found there are 2 publications at BU that have an author that has cited the paper we used as the kernel of our citation network. So that's all kept track of in the search string up here. And now you could look at, okay, here are our 2 papers. We can pull up the author list, the researcher over here, and see, is there somebody at BU? I haven't investigated this example, so I hope it doesn't lead me down too much of a rabbit hole. But you could then find who at BU has cited it and move on to maybe contacting that person, maybe looking at that person's other work to see if they meet the disciplinary, whatever needs you're looking for in a collaborator. So that kind of covers Dimensions for us. So if you have questions, again, I'm going to keep moving unless they pop up. The other 2 tools are a little quicker to cover. So next is BU Profiles. BU Profiles is really cool. It's an internal database managed by the CTSI on the medical campus. That is a searchable expertise database of BU faculty only. So you can go into BU Expert or BU Profiles, excuse me, search for a keyword that's a research topic, maybe lung cancer, biomaterials, whatever, and see who pops up as doing research in that area. Currently, the reason this isn't like front and center in this webinar is that currently BU Profiles is a tool that is primarily the medical campus. It has the vast majority of medical campus faculty, and it was built using the MESH keyword system, which is an NIH-based keyword structure. So we didn't develop our own in-house keyword taxonomy for this. This is entirely kind of taken from theirs. And because of that, it's really built around NIH-aligned research and PubMed research. So it's very much a tool oriented at those disciplines. Currently, there are a handful. There's some CRC faculty in there, and it's a slightly growing presence. There are also currently discussions about adding more CRC faculty there, and about what kind of information technology effort it would take us to build out our own custom keyword structure to add humanities, social sciences, etc. So right now, BU Profiles is a really strong tool for anybody on the medical campus or anybody looking to collaborate with the medical campus or those kind of disciplinary aligned researchers. For those of you that are in other disciplines, as I'm sure there are many of you, stay tuned. It's a tool that we really want to develop into a better campus-wide tool. We'll show you this in just a moment. I'll kind of show you these last 2 on the websites together once I go through the slides. There's a little picture of what it looks like. We'll see it soon. The other tool that I would be remiss, and I almost hesitate to call this tool, but more of a web link, is the BU Centers and Institutes webpage. There are a vast array of centers and institutes at Boston University. There is a searchable database on the Office of Research website that contains a listing of these centers and institutes. In many cases, it is explicitly part of the mission of the research center to foster collaboration, whether it's interdisciplinary collaboration across campus, or whether it's collaboration within a specific topic or a specific discipline or specific line of research. But in many cases, it is explicitly part of the objectives of the center to foster that collaboration. And there's a number of very high-profile centers at BU, things like the Photonics Center, things like Hariri for computing and data sciences, the Needle. These are very high-profile centers, but there are massive numbers of centers that study and work on a vast array of topics in fine arts, in the humanities, in social sciences, in addition to things like those kind of STEM discipline centers. So if you have, an interest in and need collaboration or seeking collaborators in a specific discipline, the centers and institutes that exist at BU already are a great place to start. And this center website is a great listing of those. You can search, you can find something, and they have links to the center or institute's website, and those websites all have contact information. Every single one of these websites has a way to get in touch with that center, whether you're a faculty member, whether you're a graduate student, whether you're an undergraduate, whether you're an administrator or staff member who's just trying to help a student or a faculty member find those collaborations, whether you're looking to foster a bigger line of dialogue between your center and another center, whatever the case may be. These are a great place to start. So let's just kind of show those real quick. Back to the websites. Share. Get rid of that. So this is BU profiles. Again, you can just search BU profiles to find it in Google, or the link will be in the PowerPoint when I send it out. You can find people here, keyword. You can look for a specific person. Let's just do keyword. Let's do lung cancer to pick something that will give us results. And so here we go. We can see 310 results at BU that have some link to lung cancer research. You can see what the institution is, what their department is, what the division within their department is. And you can also click this little Y button and see, okay, here is a big old paragraph about Dr. Spira and why he is linked to lung cancer as a search topic and what his background is. You can see article level information about the work that that person has done to kind of figure out, again, that specific, are they exactly in the area that you're looking for? I'm scrolling a little quickly here because he has a lot of work. This is definitely his area of specialty. But if we click on these things, you can get even deeper and find information about the publication, where to view it, all this kind of stuff. It's a great resource. So don't be afraid to dig in there, like I said, especially in those medical, PubMed, NIH adjacent fields. This is a great resource, developing into a better resource for campus as a whole. The last one is the Centers and Institutes website. Again, link will be provided, but you can see here, searchable if you want a quick find and see if there's a specific name or keyword. But you can see all kinds of things: Alzheimer's Disease Center, Biological Design Center, communication research, clinical epidemiology research and training unit. I mean, there is so much stuff here. The Global Health and Development Center. Whatever you're after, there's probably a center that works on it in some form or another. And so digging into this page, if we click on one, Let's see what the Communication Research Center shows us. We click on that, and it's going to take us, assuming I don't get the spinning wheel just denying me again. There we go. College of Communication, Communication Research Center, and we can see their center page. We can see their mission, how to get in touch generally. If you're interested in, maybe I'm looking for specific faculty, people, faculty, boom, you can start to look at who's affiliated there, and maybe that's all it takes to find a potential collaborator. So I'm going to pop back to the PowerPoint here, since those last two were really just more web links to show you. That is kind of all of the material that I was going to cover in the PowerPoint. So at this point, we're going to kind of start slowing things down here. If you have any questions, now is a great time to drop them in the chat so we can take a look at them. I'll answer them if I can. If you would like, there's another practice exercise just to follow along in Dimensions, to see if you can kind of create a citation network and find something regarding that network on your own. Who is the BU author with the most works in the citation network that originates from Marcus Winters' most cited paper in the Dimensions database? So you'll kind of have to find a faculty member, sort the search results a little bit, and then build that citation network and kind of do those steps that I showed you. So if you want to work on that, go for it. I'll stick around to see if people have questions or if people want to see me kind of walk through that exercise. For those of you that aren't going to stick around, though, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. We hope to see you at Office of Research events in the future. And yeah, like I said, if you have questions, fire away. If not, thanks for attending. One question came in: if we get stuck or need help on one of these searches in the future, where is the best place to ask for help? The answer you got correct is me specifically. Please feel free to contact me, jpfarmer@bu.edu. I will help you with these searches as much as I possibly can. In most cases, I do have, if I don't have the expertise myself, I know who does. So please, if you do get stuck, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Another question: do you have advice/tips specifically for graduate students seeking to work in lab spaces outside their departments and for whom there are not already strong ties between their department and the lab spaces of other departments? That one's a little trickier for me. It's a little bit kind of outside my area of expertise. I think my best suggestion there would be use these tools to be informed. Every faculty are busy, students are busy, we're all busy. That's just kind of a fact of life. And so use these tools to do your homework and know what you're after. So if you're looking for a specific type of research experience outside of the department or outside of the sort of normal overlap between departments, know what you're after, know why you're after it. Have a reason. Don't just go in there being like, I'm looking for something different. How is it going to advance your career? What is the project you are working on? What is the idea, the goal, the method? Have that information, and then target faculty that work there and be ready to explain that stuff to them. Because again, this is just kind of my speculation, because this is a little outside of my area, but I think they would probably be much more amenable to blazing those trails and collaborations if a graduate student or student in general came to them with a very clear, kind of, I've done my homework. This is what I'm trying to do. This is the goal. This is why it's beneficial and important. And I've, frankly, done the research to know that you are the faculty member who would be an excellent person to work with on this. So that's probably the best advice I can give there. not knowing whether you're a PhD student, a master's student, exactly what your situation is. If you do have specific questions and want to talk about it more in person, again, reach out to me. I can provide more in-depth advice to you, or I always can find people to connect you with that might be able to provide better answers. Question about me. I think I missed this at the beginning, but what department are you with? Are you a reference librarian? No, I am not with the libraries at all. I am a program manager and data analyst in the Office of Research. So I report to Gloria Waters in the Central Office of Research. The reason these come through me is partly because the Office of Research, our job is to facilitate the research enterprise of the university. And part of that is collaboration and interdisciplinary work, things like that. The other reason I lead a lot of these webinars is I am the primary contact between SciVal and Dimensions on their corporate sides and BU on our side. So I have the direct lines of communication and kind of administrative oversight of those databases. So if you are working on this practice exercise, could you please just let me know in the chat? Sometimes we have a little bit of a hard time knowing when things have ended. So if you're working on that and would like to see me go through it, please let me know. That way we don't end up just kind of sitting here in endless silence. All right, so since I'm not seeing anything pop up in the chat, I think we are going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you for those of you still here for attending, and we hope to see you at Office of Research events again in the future. And that's all for today.